So good morning from day 30, 30 days of walking out of 31. And when I think about it like that, it does feel like quite an achievement really, and not something that I thought my body would adapt to so easily. Anyway, nothing to report really in terms of things this morning. It started out through like a trail going through some woodland and under the canopy of trees, which was really pleasant. The aim for today is to do 25 kilometers. That's the goal, so we're gonna go for that, shoot for that, see how we fare, and if we've got any juice left in the tank after that, we'll plough on. But I do think 25 is reasonable today, and you know, we're really ticking off the kilometers now before Santiago. I think we've also stumbled upon a Camino hack as well, and that is by walking further than we were sort of planning on yesterday and not staying in the prescribed town where a lot of people do. It meant that we were ahead of the crowd this morning, and that's quite pleasing. I know I sound a bit misanthropic, but it's just so jarring, all the extra people on the road now, and it's nice to sort of feel like, you know, we're back on the same path we were 2-3 weeks ago, where obviously you saw people but not so many people, and just being part of a big procession, a big train of people yesterday, I didn't really enjoy that much, and it kind of took away a bit of a Camino magic for me. So yeah, I think what we're doing today as well is we're going beyond the prescribed town in all the books by another 2 or 3k again, and that's how we're going to finish the Camino. Anyway, it's raining again now, and I'm going to finish off this next 5k and put the camera away before it gets soaked. So here I am at the end of day 30, 25 kilometers done again today, and we walked for just under 5 hours. It was a wet, miserable, windy as heck day. It wasn't fun to walk in, and the evening's only just brightening up now. It was chucking it down until sort of 8 p.m. It's a public holiday in Spain today, so there's not actually that many places open in terms of restaurants and things. So we managed to find a bar that was open and had fried calamari and chips for dinner and a non-alcoholic beer. We then whiled away the rest of the evening playing dominoes down in the cafeteria area of the hostel. I don't really have much else to say about today. It's been a bit of a downer, if I'm honest, and that's quite sad because obviously we're so close to the end of the Camino now, and you don't really want to have days like that. But it was a challenging walk today, if truth be told. Going to go to bed now because we've got 20 kilometers to do tomorrow, and we are well and truly in sight of the end now. So it's day 31, almost there. Woken up to a wet, miserable, cold day today, which is a bit disappointing. But anyway, you can't do anything about that, so you just have to accept it. I'm fighting the urge and the need to put my poncho on at the moment because you get so sweaty in those things. So I'm probably going to have to give in to that imminently, but resisting that so far. Up ahead of me, the path is already quite busy, and it's like a rainbow of different coloured ponchos and anoraks. Slept really well last night, and I think that's because the beds were essentially just big boxes. It was like sleeping in a big filing cabinet, and it was dark, and that also kind of kept some of the noise away from the other people as well. So it was like, yeah, like being in my own hibernation box. Gonna walk 20 kilometers today, not gonna push things too hard. So yeah, just gonna get on with that now and see if we see anything interesting on the way. So 10 kilometers are up for today. I don't have much of an update at the moment. The rain's just starting to ease off now, which is a relief because I'm very keen to get the sweaty poncho off, and it's been very congested in places today on the path. At moments I felt like I've been leaving a big football match and walking through the crowds. It's not been fun if truth be told. Anyway, about 9 kilometers left to go, and I'm keen to get a coffee break. So that's it, end of day 31 in a place called Uppbeat now. Took 4 hours to get here, 21 kilometers covered, and if I'm being completely truthful, which I always strive to do, there isn't much to see in Uppbeat. It is essentially the outskirts of Santiago. There's lots of airport style accommodation because the airport's very, very close. Enough restaurants to keep the majority of people fed. I just had a very overpriced vegetable paella. But there's nothing really to see here. Nothing that's made me want to get my camera out and take a picture. Tomorrow will be the last day on the whole Camino to Santiago, and I've got some mixed feelings at the moment. This has been a fantastic experience, and again, I'll wrap that up properly, but I now know that tomorrow is the last day, and I'm going to stay in a hotel tomorrow night, a pretty decent one, because this hostel thing, so tonight is going to be my last night in a hostel, so I'm going to go back now and play some dominoes with my fellow pilgrim friends that have become very close kind of family members really over the last 5 weeks. But yeah, tonight is going to be my last night in a hostel for a while, that's for sure. And yeah, mixed feelings about tomorrow. It's going to be the last day. So good morning from day 32, the final day of walking. 5 weeks of walking comes to an end in about 4 hours time. What a strange feeling. So I guess it's very apt that I should also say that I didn't sleep at all well in the hostel last night. There were 16 of us in the dorm, and it was like the Paul McCartney frog song from the 1980s, but men snoring in unison, and in the darkness a different loud snore would pop out. It's kept me awake. I had about 2.5, 3 hours sleep, and I woke up feeling rather grumpy this morning. However, that grump has been lifted by the beautiful morning mist and the woodlands that we're currently walking through. So I'm feeling more optimistic than when I first rolled out of bed this morning. And yeah, gonna knock off the last 18 and a bit, 19 kilometers now, get to Santiago and have a nice lunch. That's the plan. So just arriving into Santiago now, 3.9 kilometers away from the end of this mammoth walk. And I can't quite sum up how I'm feeling at the moment. I've got some mixed emotions and things going through my mind. The majority of the walk's actually been through really ancient woodlands and villages, and all been blanketed in a thick layer of foggy mist, and that's been really pleasant. Anyway, gonna smash out the next 3.9k or whatever it is, and yeah, get this over and done with. I know that you might have been expecting to see some footage of my arrival into Santiago, but I made a conscious decision not to film any of that, and just to experience the moment as it happened, rather than view it through the back of a camera. I can tell you though, that upon arrival, my overriding feelings were a sense of relief of deep satisfaction and gratitude towards my body for carrying me that 800-kilometre distance. If you have watched all of my vlogs about my Camino Frances, you'll have seen that there were moments when I wasn't enjoying myself, or when I was grumpy and a little emotional due to a lack of sleep. It is true, it did take me some time to get used to the albergue experience, and I certainly did complain about that a lot during the early stages, I know. I also had the extreme low point of losing €300 from my wallet. But if you were to ask me if I'd walk the Camino again, then my answer would be a resounding yes, with one caveat. If I was to walk the Frances route again, I would personally switch to the Invierno path at Ponferrada and avoid the crowds that walk the last 100 kilometres from Sarria. That's just a personal preference. I'm not criticising anyone who takes that traditional route from Sarria, but for me, at least, I did feel that a little of the magic that had built up in previous weeks was lost at that point, as was the time and space for introspection and reflection that I'd previously had on the way. From Sarria onwards, it became a big carnival procession with people shouting and blaring music out of their phones. If you like that kind of thing, then go for it, but I definitely prefer the days when you're only walking with a handful of people here and there. Camino tourism adds vast sums of money to the economy in northern Spain, so I also think that taking the Invierno route would help distribute those euros to albergues and other businesses that perhaps don't get their fair share. I took home 3 important lessons on the Camino, and I'll share those with you now. The first one is discipline. We only had a certain amount of time off work to complete the Camino Frances, but we knew that as long as we stuck to the 33 stages that John Brierley's book had divided the 800 kilometres into, then we would make it into Santiago in time to catch our flights back to London. As it happens, we only walked for 32 days and took a day off in Leon, but it made me think that this approach is transferable to any task that may seem gigantic initially. Whether it's walking 800 kilometres, writing a novel, losing 5 kg or building a house, if you break any big task up into small stages and have the discipline to complete each one, then most things are surely achievable. The next lesson is the importance of unplugging from daily life, surrounding yourself with nature and just walking. In my second vlog, I mentioned a book that I read that talks about the measurable health benefits a Japanese doctor found when people spent time amongst trees and nature. Well, there's a lot of walking amongst trees on the Camino Frances, and despite being physically tiring, I felt so good mentally at the end of each day, a kind of healthy and satisfying fatigue. I really felt the benefit of being away from the routine of my daily life, like I'd done a hard reset almost. It felt freeing to only have to think about where to sleep and what to eat each day. The rest of my mind was free to wander and ponder. I found that being on the Camino was like being in a separate bubble of existence, away from real life and stories in the news about war and famine, climate change and rising energy costs. That too was very beneficial for my mental health. I also have no doubt that we as human beings are far too sedentary now, and that we're not designed to sit on our arses for the majority of the day, whether that be in an office at work or on the couch watching Netflix. The bottom line is we're meant to move, and once in the swing of things, walking and moving for long periods of every day feels good, and it's what we were designed to do. Given the benefits that I felt mentally and physically, I have been left with no doubt that there is good cause for all of us, should time and finances permit, to do a hard reset like the Camino on an annual basis. I know I'll certainly be doing that from now on. The last thing I'd say that I learned and really came to appreciate was that friendship transcends age as well as sex, nationality and all of the other variables. Of course, I knew that beforehand, but due to the way life is set up back in the real non-Camino world, I find that we tend to form friendships with people around our own age, economic status, or those who have the same interests as us. In the Camino world, that all goes out of the window. I think that's simply fantastic and refreshing. For example, I found myself forming friendships and bonds with people old enough to be or the same age as my parents, and with completely different worldviews and life experiences to my own. I guess that due to my own ignorance, I might not have entertained that notion so much before the Camino, but now I can really see the life-enriching value in that. I am very grateful to the Camino for opening my eyes to that possibility.